So hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel Java Guru Ravi, and I Ravi Kansa welcome you in this new video. So let's get started. So hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Java Guru Ravi, and today we are going to start with the conditional statements. So basically, what is conditional statements? So conditional statements means when based on certain condition you want to take action. Maybe let's say you want to create some grading system. So based on the CGPA, let's say my CGPA is greater than 9, so I want to assign some grade A. If my CGPA is between 8 to 9, I want to assign some grade B, and so on. So in such cases, we are going to use conditional statements. So conditional statements in Java are of two types. One is if-else ladder, and second one is switch statements. So you might have used this, but we will be discussing the most fundamental concepts regarding this if-else statement and the switch statements, because these are very important in terms of your placements as well as for the Oracle certification exam also. So in this video we will be talking about if-else ladder in detail. Switch statement will be covering in some other video. So let us discuss the if-else ladder. So first thing, when you will prefer if-else ladder, so generally it is stated, it is written in the literature that if-else ladder should not be very lengthy. Means you should avoid longer if-else ladder. Why? The reason is it is sequential. It will check from the top and it will move towards the bottom. Whereas in case of switch statement is not sequential. Switch statement is simply evaluating your expression and directly jumping to that particular case. So if instead of using large if-else ladder, you should go for the switch statement. But if you have 2 to 3 conditions, you can go with the if-else ladder also. So what is if-else ladder? Basically here we are using two keywords. If is one keyword and else is the second keyword. So out of the 50 keywords and 3 reserved words, there are 50 keywords and 3 reserved words. 3 reserved words are true, false and null. These are the 3 reserved words, and there are 50 keywords like public, private, void, int, byte, short. These are the keywords. So we must not use these reserved words and the keywords as the identifier. Means you should not create a class if. You cannot create a class while. You cannot create an int do. They are the keywords. So identifier must not be an reserved word or a keyword. So there are two keywords, if and else. So these two keywords are used to create some conditional clauses. So for example, if I want to create a if clause, so if clause is written in this manner, if and some Boolean condition here. Here you have to pass some Boolean condition. This is the syntax for creating if clause. Boolean condition, you can write a simple Boolean value. You can pass some Boolean expression like x is less than 5, x is not equal to 0, or you can call some function here which can return some Boolean value. So any Boolean result should be here. And after writing this condition, let's say I am writing if x is greater than 0. So this is a Boolean expression. Now this Boolean expression, if it is true, if this expression evaluates to true, so the body of the if block will be executed. So generally we put a curly braces here to represent the body of if clause, right? But here, if you have a single statement in the body of your if clause or else if clause or else clause, so you can remove the curly braces. But this thing comes into the Oracle certifications or some competitive exam as a challenge. I'll discuss all these things, but the point here is simple thing. If you have single statement, curly braces are optional. The vice versa is important. If there is no curly braces, it means the single statement will be considered as the body of your if clause or else clause or else if clause. This is very important. So let's say I am saying ki, okay, if x is greater than 0, so I am writing ki, okay, x minus minus. So this is a single statement. So this will be considered at the body of your if block. Either you write like this or you like this. This is the same thing, right? So I am going to write something like this: if x is greater than 0, then curly braces and x minus minus. Then you can write else if. How you write else if? For else if, it is else keyword, then space and then if keyword. Else if is not a single keyword. Else followed by if. And here again you have to give some Boolean condition. Right? So if you give some Boolean condition, let's say x is less than 10. I am saying else if x is less than 10. So what is the condition? If the x is less than 10, it means if the condition is true, the body of else if will be executed. So you can represent it with the curly braces, again the body, and I am setting the value of x to 5. Something like this. Again here you can remove these curly braces because there is a single statement. But the third thing, that is else. Else is something that you want to write if none of the cases are matching. So we can write the else clause. Else clause says ki I will not be having any condition. Else simply says if none of the cases are matching on the top, then else will be executed. And again in the else you can have some statement in the else block. Let's say I am writing here x is equal to 0. So this is the syntax of creating if block, else if block and else block. Again repeating, if there is a single statement in any of the three, then you can remove curly braces. But it is not compulsory, it is just optional. Now, when you have understood this thing, so there is a single statement which will clarify all the confusions that majority of the students are having. So when you write if else ladder, so what is the concept here is ki there must be at least one if. If you are writing if else ladder, so if is compulsory. There will be one if. Then after the if, there can be 0, 1 or multiple else if. If will be followed by 0, it means you cannot have any else if, that is okay. It's not mandatory to write else if. You can have one else if or you can have multiple else if also. So for the else if, it can be 0 else if, it can be 1 else if, or it can have multiple else if with a single if. With a single if you can have multiple else if also. And then else if will be followed by 0 or 1 else. You cannot have multiple else with a single if. Right? It means else is also optional and else if is also optional. Right? So if you have written one if, you can have 0 else if, you can have 0 else. You can have one if, you can have 0 else if, you can have one else. You can have one if, you can have one else if, you can have one if, you can have multiple else if, you can have one if, you can have one else if and one else, you can have one if, you can have multiple else if, and you can have one else. So all these permutation combinations are possible. With a single if you can have 0, 1 or multiple else if, and it will be followed by 0 or 1 else. You cannot write else before else if. Firstly your if will be there, then else if will be there if any, then else will be there if any. Right? So this is how you can write if else ladder. But again I am drawing your attention towards the point that if there is no curly braces, then the immediate next single statement will be considered the body of if else or else. Now the important point is, whatever be the length of your if else ladder, any if else if else ladder is a single statement. You have written one if, then 10 else if, then else. It is a single statement. One if else will be considered as a single statement. Second important point says that if else ladder will terminate when you will say that this statement is completed when either you get some other if. As soon as you get another if, it means the previous if else ladder is terminated. This is another if. Second thing, when you get the termination of your single statement if else ladder, when you get some other statement. Let's say in between you got some system.out.println. So that means that termination is there. Third thing can be there when you encounter your else. As soon as you get an else, it is guaranteed that if else ladder is terminated now. Fine. So we'll discuss this with an example here. Let's say I am writing here int x is equal to 5 and y equal to 2. And I am writing here if x is greater than 5. Just concentrate here. If x is greater than 5, I am writing here x minus minus. I have not written the curly braces, no issues, because there is a single statement. Then I have written else if y is less than 0. So I am writing here y plus plus. So first of all, we will have to see whether it is valid or not. This if else ladder is valid or not. So the answer is we have to check if clause, then the body of the if, means if is having complete body here, then else if body. So there is no else, no problem. You can have 0 or 1 else. So no problem, else is not mandatory. So means this is a single statement. First thing I told you, this is a single statement. Let's say I want to add one more else if x is greater than y, I am saying x minus minus. So now the single statement will start from here and it will run up to this index. So there are three clauses now: if clause, else if clause, and else if clause. Can we add one more else if? Yes, you can add one more else if. Can we add else here? Yes, we can add else here. I am saying else x plus plus. So this is again a single statement. This is a single statement. We are not breaking the if else if ladder anywhere. We are following the rule. If clause followed by else ifs, no issues, then followed by else. So this is correct one. There is no problem in this. Now suppose I said, okay, sir, can I write something like this? Now what do you think about this? So if you see here, I will start checking. Okay, I started with if. It means there is a start of if else ladder. So I will start with if. Now if, then I got else if. So this is the part of a single if else ladder. I will say else if. Then what is the next? Its body. Then we got else. Else means this if else ladder complete here. Now we will not say that lower part is also the part of this if else if. So this if is okay. Condition, then body. Else if, condition and body. Else the body. So it means this is one statement, one if else ladder is created. Then how if can be there? Sir, after else how you can get if? No problem. This is a next if else ladder. Right? This one if else ladder is completed. Now this is the second if else ladder. Sir, only if is there? No problem. With one if you can have 0, 1 or multiple else if. So 0 else if, and you can have 0 or 1 else. So there is 0 else. So this is also if else ladder. This is your second one. Is it nested? No, it is not nested. So there are two if else ladder here. One is here, one is here. Right? Now if I say another example, let us take another example. In contrast to this, now we have to understand this particular portion. Let's say I have written the same kind of int x is equal to 2, y is equal to 5. This time I am writing if x is greater than 5, I am writing here x minus minus, else if y is greater than x, if x is greater than 0, x minus minus, else x plus plus, else y plus plus. So to make you confused, this kind of if else ladder can be given. Now we have to understand what will be the, and you will be asking what is the output, and one of the option can be compilation error. So we have to look into this, what is the possibility here, right? So let us try to understand. You are starting with the if clause. If, then the condition. It's all right. Where is the body? There is no curly braces. It means immediate next statement will be body. Means this is the body of if. Means this is okay. If is okay. Then what I am getting? Else if. Else if means else if then the condition. It's also okay. Means this is also the part of if ladder. First if else if ladder. But where is the body of else if? I haven't written the body of the else if. Else if condition, but body is not present here. Body is not present here. It means what? What I told you? Immediate next statement will be considered as the body. So I will say, where is the immediate next statement? Immediate next statement is what? This if. It means now inside this else if, this if else ladder will be a nested one. Is it clear? Else if is not having a body, so immediate next statement. Immediate next statement is an if statement. Earlier we have seen the immediate next statement is y plus plus. It was a single statement, but it is unlike y plus plus. If is a ladder, and now the immediate next statement will be considered up to this if else ladder. When the if else ladder will complete, then only the immediate next statement will complete. Right? So I'll check here where is the first statement. Means you can assume like this, is here the body of else if start. Else if start with the immediate next statement, so it is starting from here. But is it the only statement here? Let me check. If condition, then the body. So if it is okay, this if is okay. But do you have any other clause in this single if else ladder? So I'll check. What is next? Else. Else. It means it is the part of this if. It is the part of if this if. Right? It is not getting associated with this outer if. Right? This if is also still pending, but this if will be associated with this else, because it follows this sequence. That's why there is a statement written in different literature that is saying any else if or else gets associated with the nearest if on the top. Any else if or else will be associated with the nearest if on the top. So this else will be associated with this if. Right? This if it will be associated. So now the single statement will include this if and else. And I said as soon as you get an else, it is the end of if else ladder. Means one statement completed, I will say this is the body of your else if. Else if is completed. Now what? This else ladder is completed. Now if else if, now this else will be associated where? This else can be associated with this one? No. This is already completed. So this else will be associated with this if ladder. If else if else. So it should have been written like this. Instead of writing else here, if I use the proper indentation, so it should be written like this. But intentionally indentations are removed in such questions, even in the certification exams. They will make you confused. You find out which else or which else if is getting associated with which particular if clause. So you can see now what is the flow here. This if and this else if and this else, and this if gets associated with this else, right? So this is outer if and this is the nested if else. So this is how you can understand the association of else if and else. This is the second version of a question which we can get in any kind of exam. Third flavor can also be there. So let us produce the third example here. So I am going to write again similar kind of logic. Int x is equal to 5, y equal to 3, and I am writing here if x is greater than y, I am writing here if y is greater than 0, I put semicolon, and then I have written else y minus minus, else if x is less than y, so y plus plus, else x minus minus. So you can be given this kind of scenario. So if you see here in this encircled example, what we are going to do here, let us try to understand the association of if. So here I have written if clause, then the condition. But in the if clause, I have given the condition, but body is missing. So body is missing means immediate next statement will be considered as the body. So let us suppose this is your starting point of the body, but body will be immediate next statement. So we'll have to understand what is the immediate next statement. So the immediate next statement here is if. Means it can be a long if else ladder also, because if else ladder is a single statement. So what is this? If y is greater than 0 condition, but semicolon. Semicolon is there, it means it is having empty body, null body. So this is perfect. You can terminate if or else if with blank statement, semicolon. So it is not an error, this is perfect. If is okay, then else. It means this if will be associated with this else, because else gets associated with the nearest if, else then the statement, means this is also perfect. So this is a single statement, this complete, so it will be the part of this if. So you can see this if and this if, they are nested. Now what I am writing here is else if. So else if, now this else if will be associated with what? Do you think that it is associated with here? If you are not having this one given, so you will be getting confused how after else you can get an else if. But this is not else if, the part of this if else if ladder. This else if is going to be associated with this if. So if, then else if, condition, body, no issues, then else. So this else will be associated with this, obviously nearest if else ladder. So it is going to be a perfect example. But what we have seen here is this empty. In this case, if you remove this semicolon, just try to understand. If I remove this semicolon here, what is going to happen? This semicolon I have removed. Now it is going to be a compilation error. Why it is compilation error? If clause, no body, immediate next statement will be considered as the body. Here you have written if, no body, immediate next statement will be considered as the body. Immediate next statement is what? Else. Else cannot be existing without if. It will give you an error, else without if. Because it will ask, where is my if? It will ask to get associated with here, but it is saying I am incomplete. Where is my body? So I cannot be associated with you. Right? You will talk to this if. Can you associate me? It will say I am still incomplete. I am looking for my body. So it means this else is without if, orphaned if you can say. So this is how you can understand. Three different flavors are possible. One is simple if else ladder. Second one can be there where nesting can be there. So you have to understand if the body is not given, so you will get immediate next statement, and if else ladder is a single statement. Then third one is when you can have any if clause, else if clause terminated with semicolon. It means there is a blank or empty body. So that's all about your if else ladder. I'll be discussing this with the help of a program, so you can discuss here.
So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you find this video useful, so please like, subscribe and share with all of your friends so that they can also get benefited. Ravikant Sahu signing off. Thank you.